Tonight on Pixels to Politics, Dougie and Blackheart welcome Vin, a Korean American with a foot in two worlds, to delve into the nuanced political differences across genders and regions. We'll also tackle the topic of Wokism in modern culture, examining its impact on TV, movies, and beyond. Vin's unique experiences traveling between the US and Korea offer us a fresh lens through which to view these complex issues. Join us for a thought provoking discussion that cuts to the heart of today's cultural shifts. Um, so just before this, I was watching a Red Pill podcast for fun.
You would. You would.
For fun. But Charlie Kirk is on there, and I'm sure both of you have seen him in clips, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Who?
He does like he's usually sitting in a courtyard and on a campus, and he debates with the college students, and they're usually yelling at him.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's the guy with the like sunglasses. He's just sitting there, and he's like, he puts some like super funny banner, and then people get super mad at him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of them, but he's definitely one of those. Okay. The one thing I wanted to bring up was that he had a really good point. So their topic was, I mean, it was like a 5 hour long podcast. I didn't watch all of it. It was kind of boring. But one of the things they were covering was gender roles, and he brought up a really good point where there is actually no such thing as gender, and that sex is as used to be what people would determine each other. Sex is what determined whether you were male or female, and the concept of gender is something that's only been around for like 100 years, and that the reason there's like this identity thing going on is because gender it was aligned with your role in society, and that now that the roles have become less defined, there's this spawn of gender identities, like a lot of them, which I thought was really interesting because I'd never heard that before. But I don't disagree with it. What do you guys think?
I guess I can go first.
Vin?
Well, I believe that I'm not sure how to say that without offending anyone, but I feel like gender identity is just it's it's an illusion. Like I feel like sex is what matters, right? Because I mean, if we look back in history, the Greeks, let's just talk about like the many different colors of like quote unquote gender. I believe there's only two sexes, and like yes, there will be genetic error, and like you'll have a hermaphrodite every couple of people, but I. I think gender identity is just an excuse to make that person feel special. It's more about the individual rather than like anyone else, and like eventually it just becomes a cult, you know. Um, because if you look from my experience in Japan, like they're not okay with homosexuals, but they're completely okay with transgender, like men dressing as women. And then in Korea, we just don't talk about those things because it's not really looked upon. In China, they're also not too fond of the many different colors. So Eastern culture is a little bit more conservative. But when it comes down, like it goes to your point. Like I feel like it's a new way to express oneself, but I feel like it's too complex and it's complete delusion sometimes.
Yeah,
Do you guys? Go ahead.
they also, not that this I am making fun of this person, but there was a person on the show who identified as a dog, and it was very interesting. But yeah, I think that was kind of his
I went to
point.
school with,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, no, I was gonna say I went to school with someone that identified as a goat.
Okay, so
Like I can go ahead. Like if we start with this, right? Like it's socially constructed roles, but it's just like why has the word gender evolved into something so to like generate delusion? because I feel like you've met those people, the fucking furries, like those kinds of people that are like the they say they identify as a dog, and then like people, it's just absolutely fucking bad. Like, and then there's people who identify as like what's the correct phrase? Yeah, transracial. You could like
Oh
you could
yeah,
use that as a gender. Like those are the fucking worst. Because
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just no. I mean, you bring up a good point, and it's something I've noticed when it comes to this topic is that people kind of it becomes a wide spectrum on how far people are willing to accept what the other person is identifying as, right? So you have like some people are like, oh, you identify as male or woman, fine. And then that same person, when they hear you identify as dog, they're gonna look at you like you're psychotic, right? But then there might be that person who will allow, you identify as a dog or another gender, and at the same time also add transracial identities, and it's just like, okay, it does seem very arbitrary, um, but
Well, I feel like over the years it's gotten worse because like I was fine. Like I'm a little bit more liberal compared to like the average like Eastern culture Asian. They're extremely conservative. Like we know that there's male, there's female, and then there's people who want to like dress as female that are male, and the same vice versa.
but you
But
don't
then
call
there's
them you don't call
yeah,
them that gender, right? Or
yeah, you
that
still call
sex.
them yeah, and then the fucking pronouns, dude. Like
Sure.
calling them they, them, like he, she, it. The Chinese have a great phrase for that. It's called Yao Guai. Basically means not human, demon in between.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I'm okay with like men liking men. I mean, look at the fucking past, dude. Like we look at Greeks, the Romans, they were extremely homosexual. Like Alexander was like one of the greatest conquerors of the world. He was straight up homosexual. Like you could say he's like bisexual, but Jesus Christ, the day he starts identifying as a dog is the day you know humanity has somewhat failed.
I think that tends to be the difference is that um, when people identify that way, they don't say it out loud. They just are, and then the people around. And the difference between Eastern and Western culture is are, and then you just kind of accept it. That's like what they are, and then maybe you don't think of it too well, and maybe you have derogatory terms, but it's like an unspoken thing that it's like, okay, this is how you feel, and this is what you are dressing like, this is how you're acting like, that's fine. I'm still going to have my opinion of you, and then the other person accepts it too. It's like, that's fine. Like, I don't need you to approve of me. This is how I am going to act and be. Versus Western culture, where it seems to be there's this push, at least from some, where it's like, no, you have to believe the same thing I believe, and if you don't, you're committing violence against me. Like, it's very the difference is it's kind of crazy.
It something that you're taught as a child in
Mm.
Eastern culture, where it's like the nail that sticks out gets completely shut down. It gets hammered down. So you don't want to like be too crazy, or like out of the norm. Whereas in like Western culture, it focuses more on the individual. So what happens is sometimes the individual gets a little power hungry, and they feel that like they're just another cog in the machine. So they got to say something to make them special. This is why we have issues like gender dysphoria, especially like the super young kids are like, oh, I want to be gay. Oh, I want to be like I want to be a potato in an Apache attack helicopter. And then the parents that literally let them do that, like they help like foster that environment. Like when I was a kid and I started liking like the color pink, my dad immediately said like, It's okay, just make sure you know what you like." Like
Oh, that's fair. It's a fair
they literally foster
perspective.
this type of stuff. As a young for the Americans as like a young kid, because like it's let's just go into the topic of like transgender surgery for like younger, like hormone therapy. Do you think that should be allowed for younger kids? Um, oh, what are your thoughts on that?
Ryan, would you like to jump in? I know you haven't said anything for a little bit. Otherwise, I will give my spiel.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think that if we allow that for for children, like whether it's small children or teenagers or whatever, then like at that point, why do we have like an age of getting tattoos? Why do we have an age of getting, like drinking alcohol and doing other stuff? I feel like that's so like the ramifications of that sort of therapy can be so disastrous on someone's like sort of development potentially. Like if they aren't sure that's what they want, but they feel pressured to do it, or they give it a try, but it doesn't end up kind of getting them where they feel like they need to be, it can be so disastrous. And then I feel like that causes its own set of problems. So honestly, like I don't know if I would I don't know if I would allow that for anyone. Like I feel like you should have an age limit for that. Whether it's 18 or 16 or whatever, but like it's tough because like how can something that's so nebulous be like so firmly understood that you're willing to undergo such extreme, bodily or hormonal changes when like you have, 18-year-old kids, 20-year-old young adults who are like in college trying to find a profession and they end up like changing their major last minute because like, oh, it's not exactly what I thought it was, or oh, I gotta like do this or do that. It's like, at least there it doesn't come with anything that, is gonna impact your body. But it's people change their minds all the time, but like some ideas are easier to walk back from than others, if that makes sense.
I
That's
absolutely agree. I believe that like the age of like gender therapy hormone should be 16, 18, like because if you're gonna start gender therapy at like when the kid is 11, like they're gonna regret it for the rest of their lives. Like they just lived 11 years of their lives, and then all of a sudden like their teachers are telling them, oh, like you want to be this and that. And no, just let them figure out what they want to be.
The research for this stuff
yeah.
is like still very fresh. Um, and I personally don't think we know enough, one, about human psychology, even just that in itself as an umbrella science has really just blossomed in terms of like the past
Well,
decade. Um,
uh, mind if I interrupt really
sure,
quick?
no, man.
Um, Gender studies was literally invented around the 1970s, 1960s. And I feel like these types of studies incorporated so many negative aspects of society that like I've seen, like in my opinion, because in the past it was simply observation, but now it's not about observation, and like it doesn't even follow the scientific process for like gender studies. It's more, these are the facts, but none of these facts are actually scientifically proven. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's also, I mean, like if psychology has the lowest half-life of all the sciences, it gets it gets overturned really quickly. And again, it's still like it's only recently been a hard focus these past like 20 years. Um, so it's not really that surprising that there's all this confusion around these topics. And I found it really interesting that a lot of the foundation for a lot of the arguments they were having on the podcast, and I think even in today's world, has to do with nature versus nurture. I mean, it's pretty classic, but that tends to be the argument. Like the foundation for the argument is, well, how much of this is biological? And if it is biological, then like yeah, maybe sure these people should have access to some care, but how much is nurture or uh and caused by trauma or something else like that where it's an outside influence. So I personally I just think lots of research needs to be done before any verdict is given for or against. Obviously there's something going on here, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. And i I just found the difference between the East and the West when it came to its perception was very interesting. Whether it's negative or positive, there is like a general acceptance that you would normally see in the West. Normally in the West, especially in America, right? Like you just don't care what people are doing. That's why America's America, 'cause individuals can do whatever the fuck they want. And you're just kind of like, okay, like there's a guy in a white pointy hat standing next to a black guy. Like what world we live in? This is great. But there seems to be an issue here where this dude in a dress is yelling at you and the guy who's got the beer gut or whatever is yelling back, and you're just like, this is so weird. You think other topics would really fire people up, but you can currently have a Ukrainian and Russian in the same room in America, and it wouldn't be a problem, or two Middle Eastern. Well, that's wrong. There's a lot of that going on. Where
That's
that's a
completely
bad
wrong,
one.
dude.
No, that one's wrong. But it's crazy that topic is just as heated as this other topic of why are you identifying
Well,
as
I
this?
think
Why
I
do you
think
not
it's more
acknowledge
of
my
like
identity?
it's the culture, because in Asia there's this sense of respect, right? Like everyone keeps their own point of like just personal space. America doesn't have that, from what I realize. Like literally, it's like the people on the let's call them the side of like the alphabet people. The alphabet people, like culturally, it feels like the alphabet people are more up your face, or in your face. I think that's the correct term. Yeah, yeah, in your face.
There's a lot of people who
Because
call the new left neo Nazis. Like,
like they I mean, not Nazis were literally like Nazis were literally like formed from socialism.
yeah, well, I mean, there's some
Like
patterns.
they are essentially neo Nazis. Like, because once you start forcing your like people to convert, it's essentially becomes like tyranny. Because I believe in a healthy world where everyone should have their own beliefs and disbeliefs. But from my experience, there's a lot of, let's say, the alphabet people who enjoy essentially making you um they enjoy forcing their views on you. I'm trying to find the correct phrasing, and I apologize for the brief pause. Because I think that's the biggest issue. Like they're forcing so many people essentially to like try to like see their point of view, and by see I mean like convert them, like agree on everything. But that's not human nature. I mean, this is why wars exist. This is why like religions exist, like, and religious wars in addition. Like, it, we don't like to agree with each other. We like conflict, you know. But it's a matter of like allowing healthy conflict versus like one single viewpoint. Because if it becomes one single viewpoint, then it just completely like I feel like it destroys the individual. But they keep on insisting like, oh, wrongfully misgendering them is an attack on their personality. It's like it's a verbal attack.
It's a act of violence. Yeah.
Yeah, but how the fuck is that an act of violence? You know, like there are people getting bombed by the fucking U.S. and
Yeah.
like people literally sitting like in fucking camps in China, like
Yeah.
working sweatshops. Like that's an act of violence. It's
Yeah.
literally slavery.
That's my
Like
point of view too.
it's neo
Yeah.
slavery. It's like that's an act of verbal violence. So what? Like freedom of speech.
There's people dying in wars, and it's like you guys are having trouble figuring out what the word gender
Like
means. Like,
yeah,
please.
like my like if the aliens come down like for godforsaken reason, or like let's say fucking like what do you call it, like the rapture happens, Jesus comes down, he sees this shit, dude. Like we are embarrassing. Like that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I wasn't. I don't want to go too far into the trans stuff and
Yeah, and next
furries,
thing you know,
whatever.
we're getting death threats on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Um, but I did. Okay, so specifically, there is an alignment right now. Actually, I guess there's always been an alignment, but the gap has increased and it keeps increasing. It's the men have started to swing very far right, and in general, women have actually just stayed the same amount of liberal. But I can't really think of why. Um, there's a study that just came out, and everyone's kind of ranting about it, and now they're trying to figure out like, what's causing men to swing so far right, and some of the thoughts have been education and religion, um, but in South Korea it actually has the largest gap. So I was wondering if that's like a noticeable thing for you there
Um.
versus here. Like, what does that
So
look like?
the reason why the gap is so large in South Korea is because the Korean men they're fucking incels, absolute fucking
Oh
incels.
no.
But the Korean women are okay. Asians are batshit crazy. I I think that's something everyone can agree on. Um, the reason why the Asians are so fucking batshit crazy, at least in Korea, is because of the like what's the term? The radical feminine, like the TARF. Is it
Yeah,
called TARF?
the turfs.
TARF.
Yeah,
Meaning
trans something radical feminist, trans. I can't remember. Trans exclusive.
like TERFs, TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists.
There you go.
So I can tell you a story from like in the entirety of the fucking situation. So you guys know about the pinching symbol in Korea, right?
No, do tell.
So it's a great story. South Korea pinch symbol. Let's find it. So there's a literal fucking symbol that triggers the living shit out of men, because the symbol basically means that men have small wieners.
Oh,
It's a hilarious thing. Um, so they start by like the thumb and the index finger that somebody from Nexon had to uh had to essentially move. Um, and basically just move out of the
from Exxon, like the gas.
yeah, no, not move, but they had to cancel their entire fucking like art because of that symbol. So the reason why that symbol looks so bad is there was like I said, both sides of the Korean spectrum are batshit crazy. The men are all fucking incels, and like Korean laws always tend to favor men. And I'll go over that with a different story. But so what happened is that the little symbol, basically it's the thumb and index finger of the hand, where like it's a pinching hand emoji. Every time they see it, they get completely fucking like this symbol. Let me find it. Here we go. I just dropped it in the chat. But this symbol essentially just triggers men because it was hijacked by TERFs in Korea. So what happened was they associated TERFs with a bad thing because of that specific group of TERFs. Um, what happened was when people started having the symbol, it considered like they considered belittling of men. So they like the Korean companies were like forced to take any images of this down. And the reason why behind that and why it's that image is so hated is because of the TERFs, because they spend like the internet's just basically made everyone batshit crazy, but they spent majority of their time on the internet like taking illegal pictures of like men and young boys and posting their fucking wieners like
Oh,
child pornography level of like fucked. And that's what like how batshit crazy the Korean like the TERFs are. And that like they associated that themselves with that symbol. So to them, to like to the male Koreans, it was essentially saying, "Oh, it's belittling of men, and it's very like sexist and sexist towards men." And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have how like that like the men have always been conservative, but like and the women have always been conservative too. It's just over the past like 2 decades, they've slowly shifted towards like more towards the left because of neo radical feminism and like all these batshit crazy women that like think all men are evil and that type of shit. So you have that situation, but then Korea's fucked in the head for like laws, because there was this recent news about a TikToker. His let me try and find the news. So his name's Sewon Jung. She's known as like Mama Boy or like Mama, like that fucker. She was just arrested for rape charges of a woman where like they publicly assaulted a woman. And he only got 7 years in jail, like not publicly, because like here I found it. It's on a Dexerto article. But they probably weren't the first. They were just probably regurgitating what the fucking media. Like Korea's laws favor men very very much, like, because you can do shit like this, terrible things to women, like sexually assaulting them and raping them and like taking pictures. It doesn't change anything, but and then like if you're caught gambling or you have drugs in Korea, then it's like, oh, congrats, you're getting arrested.
Wow.
Like it's fucked in the head. Like I at least in the East, the reason why we're so conservative is, I would dare say, it's because of China. Realistically, I, it all comes down to Confucianism, because Confucianism like keeps the proper family unit where like the woman should respect the men. And imagine like 5,000 years of culture. Humans are very hard to change, because like you see like change on the internet. Like the change can be rough, and there's lots of growing pains. And Asia's very prone to change. Yes, we can change, and we're more liberal, but it's like it's fucked. Because if we take a look at Japan, like Japanese culture is so fucking like it's also weird, because both genders like are really really liberal. Cheating is the norm in like South Korea, not South Korea, in Japan. Like you have people in their 60s, not 60s, 40, 50s cheating on their wives, and that's just the social norm.
Well, wow. Um, I so
It's kind of like a shocker to hear all this information, right?
well, I had heard the Japanese one before, but yeah, I don't know. I've seen like inklings of it, but it's different when you hear from someone who's like lived it, right? Um, so I remember I had argued with somebody on Japanese culture a little bit and how that shit's weird and
Was that
anyways.
person like actual native Japanese, or like were they just some
She's
American
no
like
no no.
wannabe Japanese?
She's from the continent Asia. I don't think she'd like me saying where she's from, so I won't. Um, but she's very liberal, and the argument was on Japanese porn, or no, it was anime. And I was saying how uh, the sexualization of the younger characters was like a cultural thing. And she got very angry at me for that. And her argument was that no, it's not, because they just moved the consent age from 14 to 16. And I was just like, I think you're proving my point. Like, what are you talking about,
What the fuck is
man?
she talking about, dude?
I don't know. She just gets offended whenever white man says
Like,
something uncultured or something like this. White men
the
tell
white
me
boy.
culture. No, I just gotta
My
be like,
man,
okay.
are you fucking kidding? Like, there's so much over sexualization. Okay, let's just look at K-pop. So,
Oh yeah.
I want you to I want you to just Google this right now. All right. So there's this really popular band in Korea called New Jeans.
I know New Jeans.
Just go ahead and like open up Google right now and read every single one of their ages.
Oh god. Okay.
So they've been active for a year.
Uh, New Jeans ages.
I'm gonna guess they're all teenagers.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah.
This can't.
That's why I guess I remember
Can't...
hearing
Sorry. Keep going.
this can't end well. But I know, like, isn't it also like I've heard, again, don't know if it's true, but like I've also heard that a lot of the K-pop sort of like girl and boy groups, like they usually go through like pretty extensive like plastic surgery and stuff, don't they? To make them like look a certain
Well,
way.
of course, there's this thing. It's literally just Korean. Like Korea is known for plastic surgery. It's
Yeah.
literally just an
Yeah.
industry. because that's how they like that's how the K-pop like stars actually just go like. Because every K-pop, like people say they're natural, like no, that's a fucking lie. They all go through some form of surgery, whether minor or major. Like they're all just fucking dolled up for the industry.
Yep.
So
Yep.
2 of them are 19, one is 18, one is 17, and another is 15.
Jesus Christ.
15
That's
is
about what I
fucking wild.
expected.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I listen to K-pop. I think it's good music. There's
I mean, you can be a performer at any age. I mean, that's like a
yeah.
thing in America too. It's just the way I guess you present yourself is probably, under scrutiny if you're a certain age or not, depending on where you are. In America, it's like, if you're 15 years old, you're probably not showing yourself off like, adult Ariana Grande or Doja Cat or something.
I've seen. I'm gonna be real with you, dude. I've seen fucking 14, 15-year-olds dress like complete fucking sluts back when I was in high school. That was like
I
what?
don't think it's that uncommon. Like it
Well, okay. I
happens.
mean, dressing like that for school is different than like, hey, you're mainstream American performer, like fuck, like
Oh,
Miley Cyrus, for example. Like when she was Hannah Montana, when she was like a younger teenager, she definitely presents herself a lot different than when she was like adult fucking Miley
yeah.
Cyrus, you know?
No, you're not
Because
wrong.
well, it's just something about Asian culture that's like really weird. These men like them girls young. They're fucking weirdos. Like I mean, this is why lolicons are a thing. I mean, we all know the fucking term what a lolly is, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, like there are so many fucking lolicons in Japan. They're not right in the head, dude.
I just love this conversation so much because that chick went off on me about how it wasn't cultural. It wasn't cultural
But
at all.
okay,
And you're over here
there's
like, nah, it's cultural as fuck.
there's literally fucking lolly culture, bro.
Holy
I
Like
shit,
mean,
dude.
I,
if shit
I,
like that can exist, like Japan is just very weird. But that's like that's and it's like a societal norm to like the girls young, which is very very weird. But then again, we can just go over to the fucking K-pop stands and shit, because they just like them young because there's potential, you know. People can foresee it. Like the reason why K-pop and they like having their idols like super young is that they can at least sell their fucking shit for the next like 5 to 10 years, and they like to perceive that like they're essentially like the company essentially owns you as a slave for the next 5 to 10 years.
yeah. Well, I'm assuming the contract negotiations for a young star are also a lot different than an older star too. At a certain point, like when you lose the leverage over the star, then like it's like Nickelodeon, right? With all their old contracts, right? Like that's why they'd go after young
The
stars too.
Let's
fucking
not talk about
beats.
Nickelodeon. Let's not talk about Nickelodeon.
Well, Nickelodeon is like it
Uh,
shows that it's universal, you know. Like
yeah, yeah.
they
Well,
love
I think
they love
culture's.
them young.
I mean, there's culturally like always been some sort of like like younger marriage. I mean, fuck, even just like I don't want to know. I don't know how far back to go, but like even like 500 years, let's say, you still had like teenagers getting married, right? Like it was crazy, or you have
It's
like in the Middle East, they
it
have
still
like
goes on in
Oh
India and
yeah,
like
yeah,
Pakistan and those areas nowadays.
yeah. Actually
yeah,
got
well, even in
ruled.
even in Europe, yeah, even in Europe, it's always been a thing, right? Like you always had nobles like arranged marrying their, like 11, 10-year-old sons and daughters to older adult spouses, whether it was promised or just straight up. It's just like that wasn't that long ago. Truth be told, the world's been around for a long time. We're not that far removed from it.
For sure. It does. This does kind of make me want to move into the. Did you guys watch the Senate hearing on social media? I assume no.
Be the most racist fucking hearing ever.
Oh yes, okay. So you've seen that part at least. But they had the CEO of Twitter, Discord, Snapchat, Meta. I think that was all of them. There were 5 people there. So Zuckerberg was there. Oh, did I say TikTok?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, okay. Well, Zuckerberg was there, and I'm forgetting the TikTok CEO's name. It's like Mr. Show, I think. And those 2 were getting lit up the most. It wasn't even close. Yeah. Those 2 are the biggest names by far. and they were just Zuckerberg was really taking the heat. But I thought there were like some good points from both sides. Obviously, okay, the shit going down on social media, especially Facebook and Snapchat. I don't think it's Snapchat. Mostly it was meta related stuff. Is disgusting, absolutely crazy. They were showing examples where if a pedo like directly looked up child porn, like on Facebook or fucking meta services, it would take them to some links or to some posts of like children underwear or whatever, or even like worse than that. And it would have a warning where on the top it would give you a link to like get help. It would say like, we think you need help. Click this for resources. And then underneath it, it would actually say continue to post. So he was. I mean, obviously for that, like he should probably there should be some punishment there. I think, but it was bad. Like there was a lot of stuff that they uncovered when it came to Facebook and child porn and fucking just disgusting shit going on there. Like
Anything
human
for the
trafficking.
fucking algorithm, my dude.
Yeah, they would literally cater to anybody as long as it kept you on their platform, like no matter what. Twitter got away from it a lot because one, it's now X, and they've only been around for I think it's been just a little more than a year, a little less. And then also apparently they have like the lowest percentage of usage for children, basically anyone between like 13 and 18. So they were pretty fine. And then Discord kind of caught some heat, but they were letting him off just because it was still kind of newer, and the CEO was pretty young, and they were pretty. At least he was vocally amicable to the laws that they were trying to put in place. And then poor TikTok CEO guy was just getting railed because he's not from America.
Well, I think they also were mad, right? Because they were like, I think they had some evidence that TikTok was pushing like harmful content to, younger viewers. Like,
Well, that's
like
nothing new. Like as fucking racist as it sounds, like if it's like if they're Singaporean, they're most likely in bed with China. I mean, everyone can know that.
Everyone, yeah, I think so. Here's the thing. Personally, I think it's very obvious. There's some Chinese involvement. I don't even think it's close, like out of the question. It's very, very obvious. It's just the way the senators present the information. I think
The
always
fucking
looks really funny.
senators, like it's the most American fucking thing.
Yes,
Cause
it
the
is.
senators are legit just fucking backwards in the brain. Like they're the most retarded motherfuckers I've met. It's like this is literally this is the fucking like Senate of the strongest fucking country in the world. Like God bless, dude. Like these are the people we elected. No, we don't even fucking elect them. It's just a fucking boys club, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It was a good watch. I think there were good points on both sides. Even Zuckerberg was there. There's a lot of evidence that some of the regulation tools that the Senate wants to put in place could also be used in the same way that Twitter was used to control media, and even silence people. So like, there were two of the senators who went up there, and they were not hiding at all about censorship. It wasn't even close. They were like, we need to get children off your platform, and the Nazis and the Trump supporters. And it was like, whoa, hold on now, what's going on? You started out strong, and then you kind of lost me there. It escalated really quick to like protect the children to you have a political agenda. Can you calm down a bit? I mean, and obviously not all of them were like that. A lot of it was pushing for safety for children, which is important. Like it definitely put a lot of things in perspective. Like the fact that even in Discord, a lot of people have Discord servers, right? Well, how many of those members are of age versus not? And at the same time, how many of those servers also have not safe for work chats? And it's one button. It's one button, are you 18? That's like the thing to get by on any website or any platform to see, not safe for work content. And it's just like, is
well,
that good
short of
enough?
doing short of the whole like attaching an online login to
Mm-hmm.
your social security number, like there's no way to like actually verify it, which I wonder if that's kind of like what we'll work towards one day.
Well, it seems like so that overall, from all the hearings I've watched and and all the debates that have been going on, there's this fight between corporations and big tech corporations and federal lawmakers on who should be forcing the verification. Because technically, it's kind of illegal in America for them to do it. And the corporations know if they did do it, they would probably lose money to anyone who wasn't doing it. And someone's not going to do it. So there's this fight going on where they're trying to figure out how to force Americans to identify themselves online without breaking any of our civil liberties. And they just can't figure it out. They have no idea. The corporations don't want to do it.
I don't think that's possible. Like, I actually think it violates so many rights, because if the corporations find out, like, they can go full China, where if they find out that, like, these are the people and these are the rights, I feel like what's gonna happen is, like, where it's a violation of your rights if you, like, post your ID, like, post your stuff like that, because like the whole point of the internet is just anonymity.
Well, I don't think there's such thing as true anonymity on the internet. Like, it's so
Well,
easy
of
to figure
course.
out who someone is. Yeah. So I feel like they already have that, like, that data that they could get from that. It's just like, I think you're right though, that it would be it'd be a nightmare to, like, create a system where you'd have to have, like, a social security number attached login for, like, accessing these certain age content or whatever. But then you get into the idea of, like, censorship of, like, okay, well, now there's, like, if I want to go post something, it's not anonymous, but now it's even easier to find out who I am. Like, I can't hide it with a VPN or through whatever other, online obfuscation tools you have. So I don't know. The corporations won't do it either, kind of like Dougie said, right? Like, they will lose money, and that's kind of just the bottom line.
Yeah, there's been some proposals. So one of them is coming in gaming first, from what I've heard, is
Of course it's
using
coming in gaming. Everything's bought by fucking China.
well, one of the proposals is facial recognition software, but not so much attaching an identity to it, but just looking for age, and then the image would quickly be deleted. That was one of the proposed things. I don't know how that's gonna turn out. That seems like a band-aid fix, but it does. I know what seems to be the direction is corporations will be forced to force us to identify ourselves, but at the same time, there's been a lot of pushback for corporations to regain the ability to keep our information private. So it's very obvious the government has been buying up the data of the NSA. Like, a recent report came out, blah blah blah, and a long time ago, the big tech corporations lost the rights to keep our data private. So the corporations have been saying, okay, well, hey, if we're getting sued for selling this data, even though you've clearly made it so that you can access it whenever you want, and now you want us to identify these people, well, then we need to have the right to be able to keep it private again. So there's this huge shift going on right now in a battle over the internet. Like, I think it's crazy. It's going completely under the radar. Like, it's so wild. But I don't know. We'll see how everything lands. I think there's, like, a possibility you'll end up in a fucking, you log on, you have to identify yourself. Everything you do is, like, completely monitored, not just by the government, but also by these corporations, and everyone knows what the fuck you're doing at any given moment. And then there's also maybe
It'll be your Neuralink brain chip.
Oh, what?
Neuralink brain chip. Neuralink brain chip.
Yeah, the Neuralink brain chip for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
the fucking Tesla brain chip. That's what they were doing the whole time, just testing it on monkeys.
So there's a lot of different wars going on right now in different spaces, and I think it's so crazy. But the internet one is shaping up to be wild. I do hope that they weed out the children problem. I don't. How weird would it be to force only the children to identify themselves?
That would be different fucking
Right?
issues, because then it's like, what are you doing with the
Well,
child? Like,
right,
what the fuck is the government doing with my child? Like, if I have a kid and the fucking government's doing that, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's easily over.
There's so many, like, gray areas. Like, can you imagine, like, some fucking government creep? Like, have you seen the people in our government? Like, so many of them are, like, stuck.
One of them is the president, bro.
dude, dude, half of the fucking what's the correct phrase? Half of the fucking Republican Party for sure has dipped their hands into any CP or fucking sex trafficking. There's a whole ring out there right now. Like I would not trust the government with my children.
Yeah, and I mean that's why the federal laws protect or constitutional laws protect us from that type of stuff. But it does seem like a solution is needed, and whether or not they find one is ongoing. I have no idea who forks the bill on that one, whether it be the corporations or the government, but it is shaping up to be very very interesting. But I will say the shit that was going down on Meta or on Facebook, that was just absolutely wild. I mean, they were the stats that they had on the trafficking going on there, and just the abuse, and like Meta like knew about all of it. Like it was so gross, man. It was so gross. But
Well,
yeah,
that's how they got lit up, right?
yeah, for sure, absolutely. Um, oh, we kind of jumped. We jumped. I wanted to talk about wokeism in media. I totally forgot, especially when it came to Marvel and Star Wars. So Echo came out recently, and I've been a hardcore Marvel fan for quite a bit, where I like jump on every piece of media that's come out like immediately. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Um, and then I think I stopped at Hidden Invasion. Did you see that?
Wait, hold on. Could you repeat that?
I have you seen Hidden Invasion, the Marvel show?
That shit was
Dude,
garbage,
that
dude.
was the worst thing I think I've
Like
seen in a while. That was really bad, bro. I didn't finish it, by the way.
Mr. Samuel L. Jackson is like fucking acting goat. Like one of the greatest of the past 50 years to ever grace it. Like it just and then we get fucking shit like that. Like why did they make it a streaming series? Like they could have made it an entire fucking Avengers movie.
I don't know, dude, but that was really awful. I've heard mixed reviews for Echo. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's bad. Um, but I thought I I feel like the fact that something I really liked, like Marvel and Star Wars, it's become such a war ground for like culture wars, specifically about wokeism, that it
Well,
like I just can't be bothered anymore.
it's the shit that they teach you in college about like liberalism and wokeism, and then like these people get degrees. They get degrees in writing and like fucking monkey at like these fucking people get like they go from these institutions and they spread the ideas of these institutions into other places. It's like it's fine to like keep your beliefs, but if you're a writer, it shouldn't be about symboling like signal virtuing. It should be write a fucking good story. That's all that people care about. Like, imagine if Lord of the Rings was like made in this fucking like decade compared to like last decade. Like the 2000s, where but before all this bullshit got hijacked. I mean, a good example recently, like there's you guys know what The Witcher is, right? Like, I mean, most of you
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
played the games. It's a great fucking story. It's great plot, and it actually has like proper virtue signaling that fits with the story. The women are sexist, the men are fucking sexist, and they're all terrible. It's a terrible world, and it shows the story of a young lady's like discovery into virtue. But then the biggest issue with these like virtue signalers, it's all just a hijack to like self-insert them into the story. Like, and nobody likes it when you self-insert. Like, you need to create a character separate from like these issues. Do not self-insert, because it shows like the TV show The Witcher. If they just stuck true to the books, they would have had a great like Game of Thrones level of series, because it's just about a family reuniting. If you read the plot. But then they fucking hijack it, and it's like, no, we gotta make this about the like super strong male female like lead, aka Yennefer, and then they just fuck it up completely to like signal their ideas and completely ruin the show. it happens with every Marvel show. It's like, why can't they just keep it true? Like, yes, the comic books had issues. Like, of course, you fix those like terrible writing issues, like but they didn't keep it fucking true. Like, why? You see the 3 Spider-Man plots; those were good movies. Although, well, like the last one was just a nostalgia trip because we were so sick and tired of the woke bullshit. But like, like you have shit like She-Hulk. Like, if they're gonna make it a comedy, make it like brain off, funny comedy. Because
You watched it? You watched She-Hulk?
uh, I didn't. I couldn't after that
Oh,
fucking
okay.
insufferable first episode. Like but I read the She-Hulk comics when I was really like young. You know, like your boy
Yeah,
got a hard on
I
for fucking
haven't, but
She-Hulk.
it's
Yeah,
funny.
she was a sex symbol, dude. And then they make it like so fucking bad, like terrible, terrible. Because She-Hulk is like it's similar to Deadpool self comic where it's like
Yeah.
she breaks the fourth wall, she knows a lot of stuff, it's really funny, it's got humor, but then they just add this woke shit, and then you have Megan Thee Stallion like fucking twerking. It's like, what's the whole point? You want to see like the reason why we escape into like these sci-fi fantasy like books and like these superhero genres is to like escape from the fucking world because the real world is terrible. There's so much fucked up shit. But they can't not bring the real world. They keep on trying to bring the fucking real world, like the virtue signaling, the Wokism from the real world into these books and these comics. It gets. This is what happens when they have hack writers just completely failing at their jobs.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pick one specific foundational problem because I agree with probably all of those things. I think Disney is specifically is like hard to talk about because they're so far into it. Like it's become like I know some people who work for Disney, and they just like both of them who don't even know each other. Both the people I know both described it as a cult. Like that's literally what they said. They're like, it's turned into a cult. I want out, and I wouldn't peg either of them as conservative. Like they're probably pretty leftist people, and both of them were just like, no, we want out. Like this shit is crazy. It's been changed from the top down. They've completely changed all of their roots. It has nothing to do with entertainment anymore. It has become completely cult like. I know, Ryan, you've had some trouble with getting your book published, right? You've run into a couple of writers or publishers who don't want to fucking even touch your book because it doesn't fit the
uh,
agenda.
uh, well, not publishers, but literary agents. Yes, I've had a few who go, like not LGBTQ plus enough for me, and I've had a few who, like there was the one right where like my fastest rejection ever was the only one where I had to disclose like my sexual orientation, my pronouns, like my ethnicity, and
Wow.
like very clear that they didn't even read what I sent them. Right? They just looked like, oh, straight white guy, like no, fuck that, and then tore up my submission. Which I mean, hey, is whatever. I think agents have a right to you
Mm-hmm.
know pursue whatever projects they want because one, it's a business, but two, it's also a passion. But I definitely think that there are some companies. I think Disney is. I mean, it's the easy one to talk about just because it's the biggest.
Yeah.
They've. So I would argue that Disney has always been pretty liberal and very willing to talk about social issues. But I think the difference with like modern Disney as opposed to like 70s, 80s, 90s Disney is that they went away from like good stories and it became less about the stories and more about having characters that fit a certain archetype for inclusivity and then also virtue signaling or like trying to push a certain point to the detriment of the story. Like if an artist like if a writer for Disney goes, hey, I have this story, like like let's take like Hercules for example, right? Like how like I had this story about Hercules and he grows up and blah blah blah. He does this. He meets his girl. They fall in love, but she backstabs him. Blah blah blah. And they go to the end and they go, yeah, okay. In the '90s they were like, okay, yeah, cool, thumbs up. That sounds awesome. Let's make it. And then you have modern Disney, which is gonna raise some extra questions of like, no, we need this type of character or this oriented person or whatever, and it's kind of like it's an issue. But don't think it's like an issues thing either. If we even want to go further back, let's talk about Star Wars. I think Star Wars as an original trilogy was maybe not the most liberal thing ever, but like it had a lot of like anti-imperialism, war in Vietnam sort of vibes. And it was still a good story and still very much beloved, right? Whether you were, pro-military, anti-military, whatever.
Well, let's look at like the reason why Lucas made it. He had a nostalgia for films of old, the fucking samurai films and like the spaghetti westerns, like those styles of films, like because
Mm-hmm.
if you've ever watched a samurai film, like
Yep.
they intend to tell a story, like it's a story of honor, and it's always a hero's journey, like that's what Star Wars was. It's a story as old as time, and like if it's not wrong, don't fucking fix it. The new Star Wars tries to it's like the not because the prequel, like the Star Wars original trilogy was great. The prequel, it adds on to that character arc and tells of a story of redemption. And we would assume, okay, that story ends with the prequel and the sequel, like it's done. Disney decides to fucking pull some necromancy from the bottom of their ass and try to revive a done and dead story instead of just adding like, what about the next generation? What happens next? Because like we can take a good look of like a good story that transitions from like the first generation to the next. Here's a really fucking good one. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh
Oh
no.
no. Okay, so Duel
Oh
Monsters.
no.
All right, Duel Monsters was Duel Monsters was goated, right? Like the OG Yu-Gi-Oh. Then they
No. No.
then they added on GX, and then they added on 5Ds. Go from generation to generation. It still takes place into the universe. You can still have cameos, but you should not be fucking ruining other characters' arcs. Like characters whose story arcs are essentially done. You need to create different characters, like not fucking like, because that's the issue. For most of the woke shit is just put a gay chick, like the Cartman special, like
Oh my
put a
god.
put a chick in it and make it gay, and
Yeah.
then have that chick stomp on all of these heroes who had like their transformation arc, and completely it just undoes the whole shit before, because that's the biggest issue. These writers that are getting these jobs because like they know people and like it's just all fucking nepotism. I mean, that pretty much summarizes the West and like just humanity in general right now. Like the biggest issue is nepotism. Like all of these fucking idiots that get these jobs, they've never read the source material. They've never actually enjoyed it,
They're told not
and
to.
like
They're
they
literally told not to read it. Or even
they-
go look at it.
like why are they told not to read it?
Because
Because
it would stop them from it's just like it'll stop them from focusing on the DEI fucking narrative. That's what they're literally told. There's a montage on YouTube, and it shows all the new Marvel writers, and they're all sitting there, and the montage is just them saying, "Oh yeah, we were told not to read it because it's too old. It's not modern enough. We're just supposed to go in with
Fresh
a
mindset.
fresh mindset."
and
Yeah,
that's how you fuck something up. Because like you can't build on something without knowing its legacy and what made it that. You're just using the fucking like IP. It's these fucking out of like these out of touch retarded suits like
well, it's not working,
like
right? Like it's very clearly not working.
yeah, because
They're losing a lot of money, and it's coming at an expense. And like whatever we might like it or not, but like we live in a capitalistic economy, bro. Like it is what it is. Our money is the true way to vote in this fucking country. Like, and if money's not going towards these movies or shows, then get the fucking message. You know what I mean?
like
Like,
like this is why the fucking East is just kicking the West ass in the comic book scene. Because I mean you guys have fucking read at least a couple of comics. You guys know about Spider-Man. Like
sure.
let's talk about the whole shit. Like because these hack writers they fucked up Spider-Man. So one of the most modern iterations is Earth 616 Spider-Man. Like we all know what the fans want. The fans want Peter to have a family, grow up. Like he's past. Like we've had 68 years of like teenage Peter, right?
Yeah, true.
Nobody wants to see teenage college Peter. We want to see adult Peter because we're all adults now. We've all grown up. We want to see like how he builds a family, how he creates that family, and then we can have Miles as like teenage Peter now, a relatable black teenager with the black swagger.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like we can have Miles Morales. That's the whole point. Why do we have two Spider-Mans? But they're literally fucking like one of the plot lines. It shows that these writers don't read the previous material and they don't enjoy this shit. Peter essentially gets cucked. Mary Jane ends up trapped in another dimension with a different man, and she has a kid with him because of time dilation, comic book bullshit, and like Java mumble jumbo. Um, Peter essentially gets completely cucked, and MJ has a family to break up, and it's like, why won't they let Peter be happy? One More Day was a mistake where Peter essentially like stops his marriage to Mary Jane because like to me like there's two comic book couples that like have always been like perfect endings, right? It's Lois Lane and Superman. I mean, you guys can agree with that.
I mean, I don't
Um,
know if they've had a perfect every time. I think Lois Lane dies in a few a few
yeah,
books.
but you know what I mean, like good couples, like good and healthy couples. It's Lois Lane and Superman, and then second one is Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson.
I don't
But
know if
then,
anyone would classify Mary Jane and Peter as always been healthy. She kind of always cheating on him.
well, that's different. That's different iterations, but like original Mary Jane, like before they fucked it up during like the 2000 like tens, you know,
Oh.
with One More Day bullshit. But this is what I mean. Like the writers don't know what the people want. They
Well,
want to write their own self-insert bullshit story.
Not
yeah,
wrong.
it feels like a lot of these sort of long sort of series, or like whether it's comic books or like these old, like when you bring like let's say Rings of Power, right? You bring it back from the dead, right? Because Tolkien's dead, and you're writing something new. It just feels like a lot of these are like fanfics, but they're
Yeah.
like official fanfics because the company paid them to write them, which is like very bizarre.
No, fanfics at least have like passion. They have like interest. Like because like
Well, they have passions
the
and
fan.
interests, all right. It's just usually.
Yeah. Well, side note, it's why Twilight became a thing. Twilight was a fanfic to Harry Potter.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Holy fuck, that shit was hilarious. But okay, so back on topic. It's like shit like that is it's why people are just like it's why the West is getting their asses kicked by Eastern entertainment. Like you can take an Eastern fantasy story and like compare it to modern day Western written like television, it will fucking knock it out of the ballpark. Like, let's compare, right? What's a good like modern American fantasy? Fucking that's like
Game of
written.
Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. So you compare Game of Thrones like with like their shitty ending. They ran out of source material, right? But like Game of Thrones is the exception. Let's look at the other ones, like the failed fantasies. Rings of Power, right?
Sure. Or Witcher. Well,
Witcher,
Witcher
yeah.
is Polish, I guess.
The last season of The
'Cause the
Witcher
author's
was
Polish, right?
was fucking yeah. No, I
Well,
love. I wanted to like throw this in there, but I'm amazed at how much Eastern European um works have been like stellar when it comes to performing in media and like true Western media. Like it's kind of wild. They've got a lot of really good source material
well,
there.
they have, but then the motherfuckers just butcher it. Like,
Yeah.
if you compare that shit, like, and then like, you compare that to a great story. Like, have you guys read Berserk?
No, but I
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
I've heard about it.
If it
Yeah.
if you would okay, so if you would compare the not the writing, but like just in form of like just as a literary fucking narrative, the story of The Witcher to Berserk. Like this is why the Eastern companies like they're kicking the comic book markets for the Western scene because like Western just spews bullshit and Wokism for the comic book scene, and then like you have stories like Berserk, Jujutsu Kaisen. Like how the fuck the Shonen Jump come? They've been in work for like 30, 40, maybe even 50 years, like half a century. How the fuck do they're just consistently just stomping like American comic book in sales because
I
you
didn't
have
know
like
they were.
great
To be
story.
honest, I had no idea.
It's the shonen formula, dude. because
Yeah,
you
they
have.
are. Yeah. Mhm.
Go ahead.
You're right. You're right. No, I was saying you're right. Like the Eastern media has been growing at a higher rate than media. A lot of that is attributed to basically what they write about and how they do not focus on the sort of woke sort of self inserts that a lot of people criticize. Because, like, to have a story where like these sort of liberal ideas are present or like actually featured in the story, I think they still turn out well. Like I think of kind of like some older stuff like Fox and the Hound, which is like all about racism, which was like, for the time it was pretty fucking progressive. Um, or
Oh,
some stuff like
classic
at the
Disney was great. I think like
it
once
was
they
about the
start,
yeah.
yeah, because
Mhm.
like Disney in the past to me was like Miyazaki level of like in depth. Because you guys remember the Princess and the Frog and like Cinderella and those, like the
Yeah.
classics Tarzan and like
I love Tarzan
Or
that's
Mulan.
and
yeah,
Mulan.
Mulan and like those were great stories. But then the fucking remakes. I mean, the live action Mulan got banned in China. That's
Yeah,
all I
that's
have to
so
say.
funny. There's so much irony there. I fucking love that,
Because
dude.
they're so woke,
Oh my
like,
god.
but they don't
Well, it's
realize that the writers are so ahead up their ass. Because like Mulan was a real story. Like it
yeah,
was
well,
it,
it's
you like
yeah,
you need to take inspiration from the actual story, not write some bullshit westernized bastardized version. And like when I saw that, like I saw like live action Mulan, I was like, they just wasted one of my favorite like Chinese stars. Because I grew up watching her as a like under a different role, and like they ruined her potential. Like Crystal Liu, like she got fucked by Disney, dude. And I feel like Disney just they screw up a lot of stuff because they're introducing like if you are writing about a culture, I feel like you should let the people like who are native to that culture and grew up with that culture write your source material.
yeah. I think it's also super ironic that the live action Disney remake of Mulan got canceled in China because the original is like so beloved in China. Like I've talked to a few like Chinese exchange students and things like that, and they're like, "Oh, like the old Disney Mulan was like amazing, like it was so authentic, and everybody loves it." And
Because
then the remake happens, and they're like, "Yeah, fuck that," and they fucking ban it.
do you mind if I interrupt once more? Like the old Disney Mulan was a story about fulfilling one's like duty to their parents. That's what it was. It wasn't her about her being a woman because the Huns they had women in their armies, but like the new Mulan had to emphasize, oh, she's a woman, she's a woman, she's a woman. No, it's not about that. It's about the person. It's not about like
Yeah.
who you are, your gender is. Like that does not matter. It's about who you are as a person. Because that's what old Mulan was about. New Mulan, they had to emphasize she was special because she's a woman. Like I feel like
think
that's the most
I
like.
would
Go ahead.
I would say the thing about Mulan being a woman was not a major theme in the original, but it was like a sub theme. Like it
Yeah.
was implied, right, that she had barriers to overcome because she was a woman, because she's not as strong as the men and she's not as tall. She's like failing at all the physical tests, and she hasn't been trained as a warrior because she's not a man. But like she's able to overcome it and whatever. But you're right. The main part was that like, hey, like your old man who is almost 100% certain gonna die in like the first week, is going to do this if you don't take his place. Like that is
Yeah.
the part of the story, and it's about
Even
honor and all these other
It's
things.
camaraderie, and then like it shows the harshness of war. Like New Mulan, she's got magical powers shooting out of her asshole. She's just gonna fart rainbows and fucking because she's a woman, she gets to like just fart rainbows and win the battle. It's just it's bullshit.
even the
Yeah, just like Ray
idea
and fucking Star Wars.
even the idea that uh the physical problem doesn't even have to be attached to gender, because if you think about it, Captain America is pretty fucking similar, right? Like he spends the whole half of that movie getting his ass beat because he is weak. That's like the whole point. And then he has to like outthink the problems. It's pretty. They're almost the same story,
Well,
essentially.
it good stories have a formula, and like they're trying to reinvent like the formula, but they can they shouldn't really try too hard. Like we know what humans like. because if you go back, like our first story was literally this overpowerful like hero. Like we've all heard of Gilgamesh, like the just the myth of Gilgamesh alone. But the most important thing is it focuses on more important themes that are relatable, like to everybody, not just a single person. It focused on mortality, and then we go down over the years, like these heroes that conquer and they achieve these amazing feats, like the labors of Hercules, like Jason and the Argonauts. Like they have a purpose, they have a goal. Everybody loves those types of stories. But if we look at that, like the other shit, like these stories don't belittle other people, they don't belittle a certain class, or they don't raise a certain class to like, oh, these guys are wonderful and this and that. No, it's more focused about the individual as a hero. What can this individual bring to the society? But then you have modern like media where you have shit like fucking Rey from Star Wars, who God knows what, Rey Palpatine, um because she's got this magical force bullshit. It doesn't emphasize on that. It emphasizes because she's a woman, she can do what these other guys can't, and they just completely ruin her story arc.
Yeah, it's been a reoccurring theme, I think, and it's not like these things can't work. I think Blue Eye. Have you seen Blue Eyed Samurai?
That's a story, but it doesn't focus on because she's a woman.
Right, right.
Like it focuses on like
It's a
there's
revenge
multiple.
story. This is a straight up
Yeah,
revenge story. That's it.
it focuses on nature versus nurture and the hatred that comes from like within. It's a great story about how an independent woman can do that.
Sure.
Like it because I've been writing a different story recently, where one of my characters, I have a protagonist, but he's gonna end up being like a deuteragonist in multiple like different arcs. And it focuses, like the beginning of the story is focusing on a woman that like intends to free her people from slavery,
Hmm.
because people want to listen to like stories about like how people rise to the challenge, like how
Yeah.
they overcome these obstacles. They don't care if you're a woman. Like these these like stories that I've read, like emphasize like the cunningness, like it characterizes people. The Star Wars and like the She-Hulk and like all this woke bullshit, like even Echo, Echo was pretty fucking bad, I'm gonna be
You
real.
saw it too.
Like yeah, I saw like a lot of like the fucking plot and just the clips of it.
Mm.
Um, and it was on Disney Plus, but like that shit was fucking garbage. Because just because she's an Indian woman, like it goes against their character, like it contradicts their character.
Well, in general, I hate it when they take a villain and they like try to make you like the character,
It's like
especially when
the new
es-
fucking Suicide Squad.
well, it's not even Suicide Squad and even Loki. Like the Loki show is really good. Don't get me wrong. I didn't see season 2, but season 1 was banger. But I hated how much fans are so finicky. They're like, Loki is supposed to be a villain, guys. He's supposed to kill people. He's evil. He's a bad dude. But then everyone was like, "Oh, Tom Hiddleston's so hot, and I love his accent." And then
Well,
they were just like, "Make a show about him." And then they were like, "Okay, Loki's good guy now." And it's like, dude, what the hell is this
like
shit?
I'm all for redemption arcs, but like
You can't undo the fact that Max murderer.
just just because he's fucking hot doesn't mean you should. But that's the thing though, like they love
It's just like, what the
they just
fuck?
love turning on. No, it comes with a deep rooted fucking thing, the I can fix him.
I agree. Part of the problem I think is fans. Fans drive me nuts. Like, there's no way, specifically when it comes to Star Wars and DC fans, you cannot satisfy those fuckers no matter what, dude. It doesn't matter what you make, someone's getting pissed off. It could be the best thing ever in those coming from those IPs. It doesn't matter. Someone is gonna hate that shit. It does not matter, dude. You cannot
Well,
satisfy those people.
it goes with like you can't please everyone, but then
Yeah.
they're trying to please the fucking wrong crowd though.
I think so. I think it's not only
Because like
it's just
the
bad.
liberal, well, the liberal crowd does not want to watch this shit. They'd
Yeah,
rather
I
like
think that's the
that.
obvious part. Is not
Yeah,
even they
because
want to watch it. You're building something for such a small amount of people that they're not supporting your creation. I think you need to rethink some things. Like if you're
they,
not
they,
making
they
enough
need a
money,
tone back. and they need to just go for like the right and like the undecided voters, which is the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one's gonna give a fuck about caring politics. Just go and make your movies, make them good, and just do your own thing.
Yeah, I do think most people don't give a fuck. They don't actually care. They just like you said. They're we see that shit every day when we go outside. We hear about it all the time. Most people when they're sitting on their couch in the comfort of their home with a blanket, they just got off work from 9 to 5, fucking a
They
service
just want to
job.
watch some Supernatural, dude.
They
Like
had
you
to
know
deal
what's
with people walking in with puppy ears and claiming they're barking actually to get their order done. Like they
the
don't
fucking
care.
the Karens with like the triple
Oh my
mocha like
god!
espressos, like
Oh, please don't get
the
me
average
started.
baristas, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to go home and like you said, live in a fucking fantasy world for a hot hour and then go to bed. They don't want to sit there and
Yeah.
have this agenda slammed in their face. That's what I think the whole Mulvaney on the Bush, or was it? I don't even know, the beer can thing. That was the same thing. Where it's like most people don't care, but they definitely don't want that shit thrown into their face all the time. And you're just making a villain out of people. Like you're literally pushing them to one side. You make them choose, fine, they're gonna choose. You know what they're gonna choose based off of? Who's annoying them the most? You're annoying them. They're gonna choose the opposite side, and you're gonna lose money. And Disney's lost so much money, like it's so
How
crazy
much
how
have they
much
lost? Is there like
billions
a
of
study?
dollars. There are some numbers last year on how much they lost when it came to movies. Uh,
I mean, I don't fucking blame them. Like, ever since ever since they fucked up Star Wars and like they also fucked up Marvel. Like Phase 4 is so boring,
nine
man.
hundred
Like,
million. Nine
I think
hundred
there
million
was
dollars.
almost a billion, but that's nothing, dude. That's like fucking that's chump change for the U.S.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Because
It is an amount. That's for sure. I think Bob Iger came out and he said that they were going to dial it back because of what's been going on. Um, but there's there's not a lot of movies coming out this year because of it. A lot of it's because of the writer's strike and the actors strike. But um, yeah, there's a huge shift right now. A lot of stuff got canceled. There's a lot of penning going on for a lot of stuff. My worry is that they literally just fucked up and they're just like, okay, well, like what do we do now? Like, I mean, look at Marvel. Like what is his name? The actor for King. He is gone. He's going into jail or whatever. He got convicted, and they immediately fired him. So we have no Kang right now. It can be
Well,
fixed,
no,
but
you don't need Kang. You just need a guy to like play the Beyonder. Like, just stick to the comics. Because if you use the Beyonder, that was what kicked off Secret Wars. The Beyonder just pulled out a bunch of people from like different worlds, and then he created a battle world.
it's supposed to be a separate storyline. That one is. Um, so that's still
Because
in the game, but as far as I think the next Avengers movie was supposed to be, the next two were supposed to be against Kang, and they've been putting all this groundwork for it in, and now it's just gone.
it's okay, dude. They just have Will Smith as Kang. Put your shield out my wife's mouth.
uh,
Oh my fucking god,
yeah.
dude. I mean, they literally butchered Thor for part 4.
Dude, that was a mess. It was
Dude.
mostly a mess of a movie. I
I
actually
mean,
kind of liked the romantic comedy stuff. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was too much. To be honest, I thought it was great. And I liked the Butcher stuff too. I just didn't think they belonged in the same movie.
dude, that them adding Gore the God Butcher together with that, like that Gore should have been a final boss for a different like Avengers movie.
Yeah.
That man was something else, but they all just condensed this like well crafted character out into like a single fucking movie. You can't do that. It's like Ultron. It's why Ultron was like so hate, because Ultron could have been something great, you know, like the mistake of Tony Stark and like Hank Pym, but they didn't even
Yeah.
have Hank Pym. Like uh, it is what it is. I mean, like the only good thing that's come out with Phase 4 is like the Ant-Man memes, dude, going up Thanos' ass.
Oh yeah. They actually forced a response out of them. It was pretty funny.
No, he does not go up Thanos' ass.
I think they said like Thanos would squeeze before he could get in and kill him or some stupid shit. I don't know. They said something about it. It was pretty funny.
It's like at least those memes exist, but like realistically, I feel like we got 3 good movies out of Phase 4. It was Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is pretty much a goodbye from James Gunn.
Yeah, and hopefully it serves as a preview for the
because
DC.
the fucking he opposed the cult and he got fucked, but now he's part of another cult that's even worse because now he's stuck with WB, dude.
Yeah, good
Warner
for him.
Bros is like the executives of Warner Bros. They literally have like fucking permanent like vibrators up their asses, dude. They're-
Have you heard
Man,
about J.K. Rowling in the Harry Potter TV show?
why can't they just leave Harry Potter as is? Why do they have to
So like
milk it?
they offered her, I think it was a blank check. I don't know. They offered her a fucking whatever amount of money she wanted. They're like, please just give us the rights to Harry Potter. We want to make this show. And she said, "Fuck you, no way. I'm not giving you creative rights over my shit, dude." She refused. She knew they were gonna like make it all woke, and she was like, "Nope, kill yourselves. It's not happening." In game, of
Yeah.
course.
Maybe they should have made fucking like Harry marry Hermione.
Oh my
You
god.
that's what they're doing with fucking The Last Airbender. Oh my god,
Oh
it's so
no.
bad. It's so bad. Okay, okay.
I'm getting
So
nervous now. I've heard two things or three things the past 2 weeks, and I'm starting to
what
sweat,
what
bro.
have you heard? What have you heard?
So the first thing I heard, okay, so the original creators left, creative differences. Then I heard, oh, it wasn't a big deal. They were just swapping Sokka and Katara's age, making Katara the oldest instead of Sokka. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. Not a big deal. Then I heard that they were changing the timeline. They were changing the timeline because the events of the original Avatar happened within a year, and you can't film all that within a year without showing the kids aging, and it would look fucked up. So they're gonna extend the timeline. And I was like, okay, I understand. That kind of makes sense too, right? Like, sure, not a big deal. And then the last thing I heard, which really irks me, I've heard two more things actually. One of them was that they're taking away Sokka's sexism, which is the most grievous thing I think you can do. And then the last thing I heard was that they're changing Aang's character too, so that he doesn't want to take as many side trips and like avoid his destiny or whatever. Which again, these are like really core
Character
foundations.
developments. Yeah, because
They're core character developments. Like they are core parts of these characters, and it's just like,
Sokka Sokka's
ooh.
character like development is like, you can handle fucking genocide, but you can't handle sexism. Like
There's a lot.
that's
I
the
I
most
just
no. That's the most accurate fucking description of modern day United States, like in a nutshell. We can kill and slaughter thousands of Middle Eastern citizens, Middle Eastern fucking like inhabitants, but you
Oh my
can't handle
god.
sexism and gender. Okay, here's what I heard.
Sure.
I know someone who's actually working directly on the writing team, and he fucking pissed, dude.
Oh
Cause like,
no. Oh
uh,
no.
okay. Well, stop. So you know the Aang shit, right? Like they essentially are wiping his entire character development, like completely. What they're doing is they're making Aang like just accept that he's the Avatar, not like come to accept, because the whole point of the childhood show was like him going around like adventures because he wants to avoid his duty until he realizes like the world is in shambles because he's running from his duty,
Yeah, I
right?
just finished watching it by the way today. I wanted to rewatch all the media before the live
And like
action came out.
you can see his character development like and how the Avatar is like between spirits and like connection between a spirit world and like the next one. This like because they're gonna ruin the fucking chance for a Korra live action. Korra was bad and good at the same time. It
I
had its
liked it.
ups
I
and
know
downs.
I
But
think I'm in the
Korra was
minority, but
fucking
I liked it.
great, right?
Yeah.
Like Korra was great. And I hope like because we had a Airbender live action, we could have had a Korra live action because Korra told a great story that also catered to the woke crowd.
Yeah. Not
Because I mean it
wrong.
was Korra.
Yeah.
Because it was a story about like finding yourself, losing yourself, and then finding yourself again and who you are and what you stand for.
Yeah, I mean she was designed kind of the opposite
And
of Avatar,
uh,
where he struggled with fighting and like hurting people, and his was like overcoming that, and hers was the opposite, where she had no restraint whatsoever and would knock your head off at any moment's notice. I mean, those were two pieces of their
and
puzzles, but
that's why Korra made the first show even greater because like Korra told an adult story,
yeah, it did. I agree.
and
I agree.
Korra would have been great because like it gave us origin of the avatars and like why it came to be and like
Yeah.
further in like in depth of like what the avatar's actual role is. Whereas Aang, like the Last Airbender, was more of like a kid story. What they should have done was they should have just catered to the kid story, and because here's what I heard: Aang's gonna accept that he's the Avatar. Zuko's gonna get together with Katara, and it's like,
What?
why?
They better not do that, dude. That's
No,
way too
that's
decent.
what they're doing. So it's
Oh,
like
God.
that just ruins any chance of fucking Korra.
They're
Like,
so cringe, bro. That's so cringe.
because yes, they shared trauma together and like they had
Well,
great chemistry, but
it was kind of implied. Yeah, there was some like basic chemistry there. It wasn't, I don't like
like
hate the idea. I hate the idea of them just going against the first
it's
show.
like making Ron fucking Harry marry Hermione. Like like why don't you just keep it as is? Because
Yeah,
if
there's no
Zuko,
reason.
like, it just ruins up so much like of like Korra's plot, and they have to rewrite everything. It's just a fucking headache. But like knowing Netflix, they don't care. Like, I mean, look at what they did with the fucking Witcher. Like Lauren Boebert, fuck man.
Dude, I that show made me so angry. It really did. I
Like
loved. I think Henry's so great, and I love the Witcher lore. Like it's so fucking extensive, and the plots are good. Um, and the first 2 seasons are
no,
stellar.
the first 2 seasons were not stellar. The first season was great. The second season was absolutely dog shit, except for the first episode.
Did you give me something new?
Because okay, if you've read the book, I don't know if you read it.
No.
Have you?
Mm-mm.
And you only played the games?
No, well, I watched somebody play the. I watched like 3, 4 people play the games.
1, 2, or 3?
Oh, the third one and second one, I think.
They're all love letters to the book. So characteristic wise, Jennifer essentially was never this like broken woman. She was this woman who only thought of herself until she met Siri. The What they did was they're like, oh, this woman's got to get power and do everything, but like they made her this like broken woman to begin with. But like Jennifer was never broken. She was this like femme fatale.
Yeah.
This trickster, like the shit that you see in a spy movie, except for fantasy. Like she only cared for herself until she like met Geralt and Ciri. Like the whole story was about fate tying them together, and like she never lost her magic or anything. Like so the reason why I believe the first season was like right because it just took care of the short stories. It was a world building season. The second season was completely butchered. You know why? They had Yen trying to sacrifice Ciri to get her magic back, and like, why would you just break a relationship? Like, it never happened. Like, no loving mother, because that's the issue. They casted them too young. Because imagine if they had Henry Cavill and like Eva Green, like that would have been the perfect. But they had to cast somebody around the same age as Ciri.
I
It's the
see.
fucking worst. So like you could say they don't have the relationship like mother and child does. Well, instead, what they have is this fucked up relationship where like she only cares about herself, and it just feels bad because I mean this is why Cavill left, right? And now
Yeah.
you have one of the reject fucking the fucking
Oh, Hemsworth and
the
Liam
Hemsworth
Hemsworth. Yeah.
siblings, yeah.
That guy, okay, listen, that guy really is not that bad, but I don't know why he keeps taking these dog shit roles. Like, what? I would fire his agent immediately, bro.
Dude,
Like,
I feel like his agent's getting PayPal every time. Like,
he's definitely getting a large cut of whatever the contracts he's signing because he signed on to the, um, shit. What's the alien invasion movie with Will Smith?
Men in Black.
Independence Day. Sorry, the other one. Independence
But
Day. Independence Day 2. That movie was one of the worst things I've ever seen. He's in that one. I don't know. That guy's just in a bunch of random crap that like it's huge bombs. I don't know why he keeps getting these dog shit roles, but yeah, I don't know. I the
poor
third
guy,
season I
like
was just like, what is going on, man? This
he's just getting completely fucked.
yeah,
That I mean, it just ruins the fucking story completely. Like,
for sure.
because the games are what got me into the book. The books are a masterpiece in itself. The
I heard they were
games are
good.
not, yeah, the games are not accurate to the book, but they're like a love story to the book.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like a love letter to the book, because like the end of the Witcher game, it shows a fully developed woman doing whatever the fuck she wants, and she's just traveling the multiverse. Like that is how they write a multiverse, not like the same. You know the meme, same but different.
Oh god.
the, I'm getting tired of this multiverse bullshit, man. I
Yeah,
feel like why can't you just have like a conjunction of worlds, different worlds, not a multiverse, just like a big like universe that's interwoven with other universes that don't have like the same shit over and over. That's what the Witcher multiverse was. That's what like other dimensions are.
Huh. I actually didn't know that much about it. I just know that they straight, like as they normally do with these new TV shows, they just strayed really far away from the source material. I didn't realize they had gone completely the opposite of,
It's completely the opposite. So,
it's the core of the
um,
book.
you know how like the season 2 had these monoliths? There were never any monoliths. Here's a little bit more
Oh.
background into like the story. Um, the land was originally settled by other creatures. So there's this thing called a conjunction of the spheres, right?
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
so think of a universe as like a bubble. Sometimes these bubbles interact and they touch other bubbles, you know, and
Sure.
temporarily they combine and then they split up. That's
Familiar with
how you get
mumbles.
like yeah that's how you get like mass transfer. So what happened was the first people to live on the continent were gnomes and dwarves. They were called the elder folk. Then came the elves in The Witcher, and like they butchered that complete fucking story with The Witcher the Witcher whatever the fuck, the prequel. I don't know what it's called.
Oh,
I'm
that
just
little movie they put out?
yeah that
That
shit.
was cool.
But
I
like
like that.
no, it's really bad because they had fucking Michelle Yeoh like doing Chinese kung fu and like that shit. So
Oh, you're talking about. Oh, sorry. You're talking about the little. I was thinking the animated thing they put out. You're talking about the
Blood
Blood
Origin. The
Origin.
animated one
Yeah.
was good. The animated one was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't on par with the source material, but like it was good. So what they had was like Michelle Yeoh doing fucking kung fu and then the princess. So this is the real story. The elves ended up on an island and they traveled through boat and they worried the storm. Like they not worried, but like they they entered through the storms of like Skellige, and then they entered onto the continent. Eventually, the elves had a split where the people that stayed were called Ain Shade, and the people that left were Ain El. When the Ain El left during another conjunction of the sphere, they entered this world where it was inhabited by unicorns and humans. That
Okay.
so you know the Wild Hunt, right? Those are the Ain El from the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt are the Ain El.
Okay.
Spoilers for those like who are reading The Witcher right now. But essentially, what happens was they massacre all the humans. They just complete genocide, and then
Oh.
they enslave the unicorns to travel because these unicorns were like, they were extra dimensional beings that had the ability to like utilize space time and like travel through space time. Eventually, the unicorns fought back and earned their freedom. So what happened was they began to breed like children of elder blood, aka the unicorn's DNA, to develop this like person who can travel through space time. That was like what they did, and that's why people want Siri because she's a descendant of that person with that genetics.
Okay. Interesting.
So it becomes a story about like Siri escaping and running. It gets fucked up. There's a lot of like super messed up scenes in like the
For
later
sure.
books. It showed like it showed a toxic relationship with Siri and like another girl. Go ahead and read it if you're actually interested.
I
And
might.
it shows about Siri's growth as a woman.
Yeah,
Like
that
that's the
sounds
most
very
important thing.
different than the show. I'll tell you that much.
Because and then you watch the show, right? You hear like, oh, because the book is not about that. It's about Siri. It's about what she does. It's about what she does after like the program. Like, and there's racism. There's like sexism. Because the fucking the mages in the book are super sexist. They're like, oh, she's a woman, and it shows like how destructive religion can be. Because there's this plot you know the one like where the first episode Geralt Henry Cavill fights Renfrey.
Yeah.
The book emphasizes how harmful like religious belief is and how destructive it can be because it leads people onto like a different path for blood. And the games do that too. It shows like how disgusting like obsession over religion and like just fear like tends to change people. Whereas the movies and like not the movies, the television show just focuses on, oh, what is Yennefer doing? What does she want? And Henry Cavill fucking taking a naked bath.
Yeah.
It's like, why do they do that?
He looks
Like
good naked, bro. Right.
the only thing that keeps me going nowadays is like I hope that the Warhammer universe like
Oh
that Henry
yeah.
Cavill's
I'm
making.
hyped
Oh,
for that.
I'm hyped.
Yeah.
Because if you know Cavill, this is his fucking bread and butter, man.
Yeah, and I heard. Well, I mean, the better part is them just giving him full creative control. I think is what matters the most. The
It's like
problem,
thank you, man.
the problem isn't the start of these things. It's usually the middle once the contracts end, and then the big studios can sit down with these guys and be like, okay, look, you have a great. This is what happened with all the IPs, the big ones. You know, they sit down and they review their
And then they add the
contracts.
but, the emphasize on the
Yeah,
but.
and it's like, hey, we're
Yeah,
gonna make a lot more
I'm
money
getting.
here, but you're gonna need to change this character to be gay and black, and then maybe cut
You're
off
gonna
her
need to
leg.
put a
I don't
chick
know.
in it and make him gay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just like, I am hoping with the creation or the more widespread use of AI to in digital media for videos. I'm hoping that it kind of leads to more content, and that way it will satisfy all people. You want fucking gay Superman? Sure, bro. Here's gay Superman. You want black Superman? There's black Superman. You want normal Superman? Fuck, there he is. I'm hoping that that's kind of what happens, but we shall see.
Well, we'll have to say then. Like, I mean, the only good thing that comes with AI, from what I've read, is OnlyFans chicks are losing their jobs.
Yes, not wrong, not wrong. Dude,
Oh,
OnlyFans
dude.
has banned AI use. They were like, no way. Like really early on, they were like, no AI, no bots at all. I think they knew that they would get out paced very quickly. But I mean, like, it's still gonna spread. Like, how are you gonna stop that stuff? The AI will be able to interact with more people. It'll be able to satisfy more uh
Coomers.
weirdness. Yeah. uh,
Oh my god.
oh. Do you keep up with the Middle East stuff? I know you mentioned that.
Of course, I do, I do. I know about Palestine, Israel, like Israel, and like I know about the whole clusterfuck there is.
So how about the newer stuff where the U.S. has started fighting back, basically? Started showing
Oh,
them a little bit
dude.
of a lesson.
Dude, America's kind of like, I mean, this is the issue about being the global fucking hegemon of the world, right? It's just all political because no one's gonna fuck with you. No one wants to get bombed, and then, but you have those fucking idiots, like, because I mean, this is how you convince people to like go through fucking religious war. You have people who are young, like probably in their 1820s, they get fucking indoctrinated, and then they go do stupid shit. And what happens? Like it's most likely we know that the Houthis are like Iranian based, right? Or like they're
They all are.
backed.
They're fucking all are. If you're fighting the
Yeah,
U.S., it's probably Iranian backed.
because like it's just it's two fucking countries with different ideologies. It's just they're using that as an excuse. So if the Iranian backed, so it's like the U.S. don't give a shit. Like this is what they show on like outside. I shit you not. The fucking military industrial like complex probably has some like back deal with fucking Iran. Like, let's be real. It's all just political things. Because like when the U.S. finally decides to like counterbomb back, they announce it so like the Iranians can get their citizens and like not the Iranians, like the like the Houthis can get their fucking citizens out, and then they just bomb it like regular because nobody important fucking dies. It's just the people that do die are just pawns. They're like in their eyes they're indispensable, which is it's fucked up to say, but it is the way the world works.
Yeah, I think things are escalating at a very quick pace, though. I think normally the status quo is what you just said. It's like, okay, you fucking try to attack our base, we'll do a response, and we'll tell our people we responded, and that'll be the end of it. I do think it feels like what's happening since Biden gave the green light is that here's how I've always pictured it, because this is what it looks like. It seems like the Department of Defense is a mad dog, and the military industrial complex wants to run over the world, and the only sole person holding them back is the president on a leash. Like, I always
Yeah,
imagine them walking in.
it's an angry pit bull named
Yeah,
Princess.
yeah, they like walk in and are like, hey, uh, China's spit in our direction. Should we fucking nuke them or what? The president's just like, wait, huh? Wait, what? But it does seem like the Mad Dog is starting to get a lot more range on the leash. And something they keep saying that's like, this is something I was watching today. They did a press conference, but something that's been like the motto has been, we're going to attack at a time and at a place of our choosing. That's what they say all the time. That's like what they all say across the board. That's what Biden says. That's what the Secretary of Defense says. That's what spokespeople say. They all say the same thing: time and place of our choosing. But it's like, what the hell does that mean? Like, who are you talking to like that? Like, who are you saying that to? Are you saying that to Tyola? Like, who are you fucking talking
Well,
to,
no,
bro?
no, no. When they're saying that, they're talking to the other fucking assholes in charge of
That's what
the
I'm
other
saying.
countries. Like,
Yeah.
because like I feel like I told you it's probably a back deal. Because like you know how like not every fucking like group it's like fully controlled. There's always chaos on the inside.
Sure.
So like it's probably like to the group that like they believe that is in control and they have an agreement with. So they're saying that publicly. So it's like, oh, these people know, and it's like a back deal because it's code. Because like then these people can get the people that like are on their side. The fucking people they're in bed with, like essentially out, and the other idiots, it's a purge essentially. It's like how Xi Jinping essentially purged like the entire fucking CCP to like only have yes men.
Oh yeah. I saw that. I don't know. It's a little scary when the U.S. gets very preachy with very vague, ambiguous sentences like that. We're gonna attack you, but we're looking directly into the camera in all our eyes at a time and place of our choosing, and then it just turns off. It's like, what? Like, surely our enemies are
Well,
like
I mean,
sweating balls.
this is why I'm fucking glad to be a U.S. citizen. But the only like the thing that's even more concerning is just like, let's talk about the upcoming election. Yeah,
Oh God, sure, why not?
it sounds like a disaster because like it just sounds fucking bad. Because if one president gets in, like they're cut funding for Ukraine, you have Russia fucking invading. There's a
Nobody wants
possibility of
to.
like,
Neither side wants to fund Ukraine. And not even the Democrats want to fund Ukraine. And Biden,
yeah,
the only way he keeps trying to slip it in is by involving it in the Israel package. And then the conservatives are trying to say, like, dude, why are you like? He knows what he's doing. Obviously, he puts them together and says, well, you guys you don't like Israel. You're not funding Ukraine. This package that also happens to have Ukraine in it. It's like, no, dude, come on, stop being a fucking cuck. Like, get the shit out of there. Let us fund Israel because we're fucking butt buddies with Israel, and just let some of it pass. But he doesn't because he knows it'll fail. So it's his only leverage. The leverage is, oh, okay, well, we're not going to do this unless you also support this. Same with the border thing. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to do anything. I don't know. I fucking couldn't go on and on about Biden. I hate Biden, dude. I think he's terrible. I think his compromising skills are the worst that we've seen of any president. I think
dude,
Barack Obama
Jesus.
was more compromising with the conservative-led Senate and House. Like, this is crazy. Like, this
Biden,
guy's crazy.
he's not crazy. He's already a dementia patient. It's the fucking people behind. Dude, I want to know who's actually like the real president. I for
Someone
sure
with
it's not
money.
Nancy. It has to be somebody in this like in the cabinet.
Someone with a lot of money. I think it's I don't know. Whoever is at it, it doesn't matter.
It's
All
fucking.
I know is this
But
president is
it's
not.
Hillary. It's Hillary
I
Clinton.
fucking hate Hillary, bro. I hate the Clintons. They're so evil. If there's anyone on this planet who's like actually evil and maybe the devil in disguise, it's that woman. I swear to God, dude. It is the actual woman. Oh my
No,
God.
they're dude. For sure they're not the devil. It's probably the demon. Okay, for sure. Okay, Bill Clinton is essentially the demon of lust, Asmodeus. Yeah. Oh my. Like that's it's literally just fucking Bill Clinton. Like, holy fuck. Because like they're not they're evil, yes, but like they're not evil enough to be like described as what do you call it? Like the devil. The devil is like it's more like Hitler level, But Hillary's
I think
more
Hillary is Hitler level. TBH.
really.
Yes. Hillary is a terrifying woman. I don't think she'd have any mercy on any American or any foreign agent. I like it. That woman is terrifying. I think if somebody walked into her office, like I said, I think most presidents try and hold the military back. I think I think the military often walks in there and says, "Hey, we can deal with this problem, and we'll make it all go away." And I think the president goes, "I don't like the way you're making that sound." I think Hillary would have no problem just be like, "Hey,
Well,
sounds
no,
good."
no, no. She won't have that private problem if like because what happens is the military fucking industrial complex comes in and they're like, "Here, Hillary, here's a big fat wad of cash," and she's like, "Okay, I'm down."
Yeah, I don't think she'd flinch. I think the same thing with Bush. Bush was the same way, where I think they walked in and they said, "Hey, we can destabilize an entire region to secure some resources here. We just gotta lie a little bit." And I'm sure Bush was just like, "Sounds good to me, Chief. Go for it." I think Hillary is definitely on that level, like without a doubt.
Her and Bush
She's
are
there.
like the fucking same because it's like I'm so glad she didn't get to fucking be
Yeah, I was
president.
scared. I was
Like,
so scared.
we good
I was
old Donnie
terrified.
D, dude, that guy. Who are you voting this election?
Probably Trump, to be honest. I think he just aligns with um a lot of the stuff I want to see happen. I just think Biden is terrible. I think he's terrible in almost every regard. I think he's terrible on foreign policy. I think he's terrible in domestic policy. Like he's he's done some good things, like nerf Ticketmaster, and my student loans have been on pause. Not that it really matters that much, um, but
But he's still fucking useless. I don't know. Like if Trump comes in, I'd vote for him if he continues student loan pauses.
no, I don't think he's gonna do well. So
But
the way it works is when money is set aside for something in the government, it has to be used for that specific thing. So one of the ways presidents get around new presidents coming in, because oftentimes the new presidency, the first month has been undoing the old presidency, is to get as much money put into a bank set for that specific cost, and then it can't be changed, which is like how Trump got some of the wall built, and that's how some of the student loan things are getting paid off. There's a lot of other workarounds, so I don't really think Trump will continue the student loan shit. But I don't know. I think we need somebody a little more honest with both um, foreign leaders and a little more honest domestically. Trump may be like kind of an idiot, but at the very least, you believed he believed what he was saying, and that's important. I don't trust Biden one bit, bro. That guy stands up there, he starts rambling. I'm like, this dude's either crazy and lying, or just lying. Like I don't know. Like, dude's fucking.
I feel like no,
fascist.
he's just like he's literally just he's a puppet strung on fucking paper. But dude, if only Trump actually identified as a fucking Democrat. Too bad he's Republican. Because
Oh,
then he get all the Democrat vote. You know what I mean?
I have no idea. I don't. I think I think there's some very key different philosophies going on there. But I don't know. I think there's some other things that are concerned. Like what we were talking about earlier with the identification policies when it comes to the internet. I think that shit's really shady. I think the AI stuff is the regulations are really shady. I want somebody who I can kind of trust a little more to at the very
Dude,
least have Americans' interests at heart.
he's
And I
he's
think he's there.
he's getting like permanently prosecuted, dude.
I
I feel
know.
like that's gonna. I don't know why. Like these are the
He's
people
trying
we
to prevent
fucking
it.
elect.
He's trying to prevent it. Well, Biden's been on a persecution streak, which is the other thing that I hate Biden for is motherfuckers trying to upend democracy. Did you see what Elon said recently?
What?
He came out and said the same thing. He was like, "Oh yeah, he said Biden is like trying to fucking turn the U.S. into a one-party state. He's trying to influence the vote by letting migrants in." Like Elon came out and pretty much said what everyone was thinking. That shit was awesome, dude. I was like, "Fuck yeah, Elon, get him."
Do you know that man's not fucking right in the head? He's on so much fucking ketamine.
I doubt it, but who knows? Well, I have to go now. It's 8. But it's been nice chatting with you. Thanks for coming on and sharing your beliefs and insights. They've been very epic, and you've
Yeah, no
reaffirmed
problem.
my confidence in being culturally literate, which is nice.
And some people that I met, dude, they're not right in the head.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, thanks again. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get you on again when, everyone starts exchanging nukes. The US and South Korea will stand side by side, taking on China.
Dude, don't forget, I'm also part Japanese.
Yeah.
And I'm part Vietnamese.
That's fair.
Technically, I'm Chinese, but I'm not mainland Chinese, you know?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Taiwan.
Taiwan?
Taiwanese Chinese. So, we're basically on
What do
what do
you
you call
think
it?
about the Taiwan election thing? What do you think
Dude,
about that stuff?
China is fucking livid.
Yeah, I
They're
heard.
they're so salty right now. Like they're so tempted to send a nuke because like Taiwan essentially said, "We don't want you, China. Get your fucking bitch ass out of here."
Yeah, that was one hell of a statement for sure. I thought China was gonna blockade right then and there. I thought they were gonna be like, all right, if you guys elect this guy, then
Oh, they won't do that because then the U.S. would just fucking send troops and you have a different escalation.
for sure.
China's suffering so internally. China's got too many conflicting shit to like do that. So their economy's fucked essentially. Like not 100% fucked, like just low key fucked
Oh no,
because they
it's
can't.
fucked. It's fucked. It's not good.
Do you know about the Chinese housing crisis?
I know about everything. I know about their deflation. They're having a
No,
massive
no.
amount of
So
problems.
do you know like what is going on exactly with the Chinese housing crisis?
Yeah, they had corrupted it's the Evergrande. They
It's
were
not just
corrupted and they kept promising they were gonna build homes, and instead of building homes, they bought
yeah.
more land, and then promised to build more homes, and they just bought more land, and they didn't have enough money to actually build the homes, and so now they're
The
being
banks are
forced to sell
defaulting
off.
on them. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so what's essentially occurring? There's a combination of that, but so many people have invested because like real estate is the only thing that's like safe for China. Like to have a home is like an
yeah,
impressive and wealthy thing. Like they're doing that, but the women have seen how shitty life is. It goes back to the point where like the women are becoming more like liberal and the men are conservative. Like no one wants to have kids because like they can't find jobs because you know what I mean. Like the company is just having like ridiculous job marketings. Like they're just being really really fucking stupid. It's like you have to have 10 years of experience for like a job that's worth a year or like 3 years worth of experience. So no one's gonna hire anybody.
yeah. I mean,
And
I
like
think personally, I think there's a lot of reasons playing into the whole world's not having children right now. West and East, and I think there's a lot of reasons playing that, but I think the only one that really uh
it's just
crosses
money. It's
it's
just money,
I don't
dude.
think so. Even the rich are not having children. Even the wealthy are not having children. I think statistically speaking, poor people are still having more children than rich. But like in general, across the board, from class, country, ethnicity, it doesn't even matter. The birthing rates across the board are all down, and I'm pretty sure it's because everyone feels the air of an oncoming fucking war. Like we're genetically speaking, we're forced to like meet certain needs before we feel like having children, and one of those is food. It's water, shelter, and then one of the big ones is like safety. You have to feel safe, otherwise you don't want to have children. I don't think a lot of people feel safe right now. So just my personal thought, but there's
It's food
obviously a
for
lot of
thought.
problems. I gotta take off for real, but it's been nice again.
Uh huh.